Hey, Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Good day. This is from Infowars or Course.com. And this is from Zero Hedge, February 14th. Coronavirus epidemic hampering country's economy. China is disintegrating. Still demand property sales, traffic all approaching zero, which is really amazing. Shows this empty street in one of the Chinatowns. No one has talked about how much this is hampering China's manufacturing, uh, income, their economy, GDP, etc. Not much. Uh, so construction steel demand is approaching zero. I'm just reading some of the highlighted blue links. Compiled a handy breakdown of real-time China indicators. Collapse into the new year since failed to rebound. Daily passenger traffic has also flatlined. Total collapse of passenger traffic. Plunge into coal consumption. Real estate sector, there's property sales across 30 major cities basically frozen. So these are pretty catastrophic indicators on China's economy. And of course, they're really saying how bad the uh, coronavirus is. I think it's tough, but I don't think it's as bad as they say. There's been too much hype in the media about this virus, and I think it's bad, but I don't think it's as bad as some of the really serious biological threats out there. Uh, it's bad, but I think it's not super serious. Anyhow, we're going to leave it at that. Give you the link to this and go from there. But I always take Infowars as a little carefully because he gets a little extreme in his reporting, and I don't like that. But he will bring some things to the surface that no one else will talk about, so I do look at it occasionally. Yeah, this is off his Infowars.com, his newsletter, and we'll give you a link to this. But I'm sure that China's economy is really being affected by this. Next thing we're going to look at is how is Hong Kong working with all this. Now we're going to continue with this South China Post, Morning Post. Take it for what it's worth. I'm wondering about this post, but here goes. This might be the positive spin from South China Morning Post.
At the South China Morning Post. I must confess I did not put on a face mask even at the height of the SARS pandemic of 2002 to 3 and obviously lived to tell the tale. But those were different days when the good people of Hong Kong rallied together to fight the ravages of severe acute respiratory syndrome in a heartwarming display of camaraderie, self-sacrifice and empathy for fellow human beings. Fast forward to 2020 and this is a changed city in a far uglier mood now. And no more Mr. Nice Guy after well over half a year of the revolution of our times that has brought out the worst in us. Now that we have a worrying new scourge upon our heads with the coronavirus epidemic that first emerged in the mainland Chinese city of Wuhan, it feels like the end of days once again. But this time it's even more depressing and distressing because of the nasty, toxic social atmosphere. For starters, the hostility that many Hong Kongers feel towards their compatriots from across the border, further aggravated by the anti-China sentiment fueled by the revolution, feeds right into the xenophobia that drives the blame game against mainlanders for contaminating the city. Anyone starting to think the anti-government campaign of 2019 was finally dying down was sadly mistaken. The movement against Beijing is not only alive and well, it has found new purpose and direction by conveniently shifting to the fight against the coronavirus.
Now that's interesting. They find new power and new focus. I wonder how so. We've seen a little bit of the videos on that. They've got to be concerned about it, especially about the abuse of China's not, and the city right next to it, Hong Kong. I just don't know. Getting the truth out of these areas is not easy.
It's the same people shouting the same slogans with the same political agenda, but they're now making it sound like they're fighting for the freedom of our health. It ties in nicely with vilifying mainlanders and treating them like lepers, an extension of which is the whole hullabaloo over shutting down all of this city's borders with mainland China. While Chief Executive Carrie Lam is insisting that large numbers of Hong Kongers themselves need to travel to and from the mainland every day. So how do you go about persuading her sadly indecisive and incompetent government to grow a spine? Employ the good old tactics of the revolution.
To grow a spine. They won't grow a spine. Carrie Lam is just worthless. And I don't know how Hong Kongers are going to change their government so they get more citizen control and power. That seems to be a never-ending problem with their democracy fight.
That's why we have people throwing petrol bombs at police stations to enforce the message and planting bombs in public toilets and trains to spread fear and panic. Don't forget unhinged and hysterical behavior to oppose any move to set up quarantine facilities within the city for coronavirus patients and their close contacts because, you know, good luck to them and all, but not in my backyard. During SARS, a far deadlier but slower spreading disease, frontline doctors and medical professionals made great sacrifices to save lives. Now it's all about their feelings and politics and putting down the government. That's what this current strike by public hospital workers is all about, let's be honest.
Now, I did show you the movie about the current strike with public hospitals. But there's got to be something a little more going on here than this. It's just something does not feel right about what is being published and what is being received on this.
Absolutely irresponsible and reprehensible behavior by people whose pressing duty is to save lives, not to endanger them by refusing to treat patients needing immediate care at hospitals that are struggling to cope. Most public hospital doctors and nurses in this city remain at their posts, while others in the private sector have volunteered to help. They give us hope. But the ones who have betrayed their medical oath are still making an unwanted impact on already stretched healthcare services. Of course, much of the blame can rightly be placed on this government, which inspires no confidence after all the experience and lessons of SARS, still reacting to everything like a deer trapped in the headlights. So here we are now, with a shortage of face masks and panic buying as snaking queues form around shops selling limited stocks for atrocious prices. And more of the belligerence and bad behavior that is the new normal these days, with aggressive customers abusing shopkeepers who can't meet demand. You don't have to wear those surgical face masks if you're not ill. They're primarily meant to stop you from spreading germs if you are. They do not make you immune to the coronavirus.
There's a good point. There's a good point. And they don't make you immune to the coronavirus. And if you're sick, it helps you slow down and stop spreading it. That's all. Interesting.
And there's a higher chance of falling ill because of the time you spend exposed out there in those long queues, huffing and puffing among the masses, instead of social distancing and staying safe at home. Like I said, I don't have to put on a mask, really, but when in Rome, you don't want to start a riot by not wearing one. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Really a link to both these. Again, getting the truth of actually what's going on in Hong Kong and the city next to it is not easy. Not easy at all. George Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.